trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Always looking for more. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Been trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 4 of the season 1 of the Adrenaline GT ACC GT3 Championship, brought to you in partnership with TrackSpotTV and RavenComms. My name, as always, is Isaac Fogarty, and I am super excited for what is going to be an exciting evening of racing here at Suzuka. And alongside me, to bring you all the action, is the man behind the camera, and he's going to keep me sane in the commentary box. It's TrackSpotTV founder and CEO, George Cook. Good evening, George.
Good evening, Isaac. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in the Twitch and YouTube land. Lovely to be here, mate. Looking forward to a great evening of racing.
Absolutely. This is round 4, as we said, of the Adrenaline GT ACC GT3 Championship. This is season 1. So we're reaching the halfway point of the season today, and I'm very excited for this round. Suzuka is a very, very technical circuit. We've already had some really good circuits. We opened the season at Spa and then we went to the beautiful Nürburgring GP circuit. And then last time out, we had the Dutch Super Sprint. You can see there the calendar for the rest of the season. So we'll follow on after this with next Friday at Circuit of the Americas, and then into Zolder, then back to the United States for the Indy race. We're at the Indy GP circuit, and then we finish the season at Imola with a 90-minute race in the Italian countryside, which I am very excited for. This is shaping up to be a really exciting season, George. We had some really good results last time out in the Dutch Super Sprint, I should say. So we had 2 races last time out, and yeah, there were some really exciting results if we have a look at those now. So Simon Bishop took the win in race 1 last time out at Zandvoort, with Paul Candela in second, and then James Hammond in third, which was a really nice. He was really happy with that. I spoke to him after the race. He was really stoked with that result. Liam Tame in fourth place, and then Nick Carter rounding out the top 5. So that made for a very exciting race 1. It was certainly action packed. And then if we have a look over at race 2, we had a very different result, actually. This is the first time this season that someone has managed to knock off the mighty Simon Bishop, with Paul Candela taking out that race win, with Cameron Fleming in second, and then Liam Tame in third. Simon Bishop down in fourth. A very close finish between himself and James Machen. They were side by side all the way up until the line. It was a very close result in the race. You can see the race splits off to the side there on the right-hand side shows that was very close. And then James Hammond and Dan Crawley just outside the top 10. And George, I have to say that racing last time out, it made for a very interesting look at our championship standings.
Certainly does, and especially when you've got a super sprint like that. 2 races in a row, the pressure's on for that second race. First race, you got to get the result, and then it all comes together in that second race, and it did not come together for Simon Bishop. But for the top 3, I mean, Paul Candelonian, what a race he had there. Best lap was a 36.3. Nowhere near, unfortunately, as fast as Simon Bishop. Obviously had a bit of an issue, had to jump into the pits, I believe, or got the points at least for the best lap. Not sure if he jumped in the pits or not. But, you know, we're looking at Simon Bishop again this week. He could be right there back at the top. I know Suzuka is a favorite of his. He's got a lot of experience there. And boy, oh boy, that BMW M4 GT3 is going to be a real contender on that pit straight, Isaac.
Absolutely that. Both the BMW and the Ford very, very strong in a straight line, and seeing all the practice that we've had so far, he's definitely up towards the top. So keep an eye out for this evening. Let's have a look. This is our team's standing. So this is very, very, very excited. We've got BCG 3 out in front, which is Simon Bishop and Cameron Fleming. So they're leading the way. They're also, I believe, 1-2 in the overall standings. We'll have a look at that in just a minute. But we've got TTR Westside made out of James Machen and Nick Carter in second. Then we've got Fogarty Motorsport with Cameron Neame and James Hammond in third. And then you can see there the rest of the teams as we move down the order. And this is our driver class standings. So this is what our the individual classes look like. So we've got Simon Bishop leading the way in the pro standings. No surprise there, with Liam Tame in second. And then you've got James Hammond leading the way in the Pro-Am standings, with Dan Crawley not too far behind, only a 52-point gap in the Pro-Am standings. And then speaking of close gaps, we've got Porsche GT leading the way in the AM class standings, with Clayton Twining only 38 points behind. So this is a very, very close battle across all these championships. And this is what our overall driver standings look like. So this is based on the overall race results each round. And you can see Simon Bishop again comfortably leading the way out the front, 129-point lead over his teammate Liam Tame. And then you've got Nick Carter in third place for TTR Westside. And then James Hammond, one of our Pro-Am drivers, up into fourth overall for our overall driver standings. And then Cameron Fleming fifth, Dan Crawley, and then some big names. As you look down the order, you can see some very fast names in there. So all very, very exciting. And that brings us to today. So this is our current championship picture, but let's talk about what lays ahead, George, because we've got a very exciting evening ahead of us here at Suzuka. What have we got to install? What can our viewers expect?
Oh, well, we've got the qualifying that's coming up very, very soon to your screens, and then we've got 1 hour of racing here at Suzuka. Suzuka, of course, Is a legendary circuit. This place is the stuff of legends, and the Japanese fans absolutely love any form of motorsport at this beautiful circuit. Track length here, 3.6 miles. That's 5.8 kilometers. Founded in 1962 and unchanged up until 1983, where they redid a few things out of safety concerns, as they usually do. Into that first sector, first corner, very tricky one. Good for overtaking on the start, then into your S-curves. Lovely bit of track that as you head up towards Dunlop, up the hill, round the corner through the Degners, into Sector 2 you go. Those Degners got to get it absolutely right. You will end up in the gravel, you will end up in a barrier, and then you fly down towards the hairpin and that world-famous spoon curve, down the main straight, back to 130R, that's radians, not radius, into Casio Triangle, and that is how your race pans out. This is going to be a good hour of racing. Suzuka, traditionally, Isaac, a very, very slippery track as it is, and I believe we're introducing a variable weather for the first time here in Season 1.
We absolutely are. So we had the admin team, they had a discussion with the drivers prior to this round. We had a 3-week break between round 3 and round 4. So there was plenty of time for discussion, and there was a bit of feedback about what they wanted to do in terms of the weather. They put it to the drivers, and the vote was to move to variable weather. So that will be the first time this comes in. Now, I've been told, George, that it does in fact rain here. I have been doing some laps for the purpose of knowledge well throughout this week, and I am yet to experience it raining around here. But I have it on good authority that it's a very tricky circuit when wet, and I would absolutely believe that because I find it a very tricky circuit when it's dry. So I'm very excited to see what does unfold if it does in fact rain. I can confirm it is a bit cloudy at the moment. We've got partly cloudy, which could get worse or it could get better across the weekend. We don't know. We don't have the forecast that far ahead, but I'm very excited to see what happens if a bit of weather does come into the race today.
I think the tricky thing about the weather is that Suzuka, to be fast at Suzuka, we're all trained, in the dry to hit those curbs beautifully, especially through the S's, especially through the Degners. As soon as you add a little bit of dampness into the circuit, those apexes suddenly, and those curbs, are suddenly completely off limits. You've got to make a massive adjustment to your driving style when the rain does inevitably come down at a circuit like this. It creates a lot of opportunities, but even more so, you're going to be looking, especially for those little bits of grip that you can find anywhere. When you've got a nice part of the track that curves into the apex, you can find a little bit of more speed through that part of the circuit. But watch out, if you find yourself on the outside of a corner or overtaking anywhere really after the first corner, you're going to have to be so careful with what's happening with that car. Is it shifting left? Is it shifting right? Are you going to end up on a curb? Lots of people like to overtake at the hairpin. But what do you do out of Degner 2 if you're side by side on the inside? You've got a big old curb right there. So the weather is going to make a big impact, and it already does in the dry. You see that all the time. The cars get a little bit too far on the inside, clip that curb a little bit too much. Suddenly the car is making movements that they don't want to do. So accidents bound to happen, sadly. It's a long circuit, 18 corners here. Got 8 to the left, 10 to the right. And really, if I think about it, Isaac, there's probably 4, maybe 3 good overtaking opportunities around the entire track, unless your opponent makes a mistake ahead of you.
Absolutely. There is very minimal opportunity for overtaking around here, which does provide some really good close racing, but it just means you have to be really disciplined in order to get a move done around here. And add in a little bit of weather, add in, maybe it starts wet and we move towards a drying circuit, so there's a dry line appearing. Trying to make overtakes when you're on a dry tire and a dry line, and the outside of the race line, it's a wet track. That's going to add a bit of an element of risk to it, and we're going to see some drivers sort of have to decide: will they take the pain and sit behind and just sort of wait for it to dry up a bit more, or do you go for the move, get on that wet side of the track, get on the curb, and try and make a move stick? And that's where we're going to see even some of the best drivers start to struggle. And that's what I'm really excited about for this evening: is this circuit. One of the most technical circuits we're going to on the calendar, and it's going to require a lot of discipline to pull this off. It's one thing to go out and set a fast time in qualifying. It's another thing to do it over an hour and keep it on the track, pointing in the right direction. We've already seen in practice this evening, there's a few drivers, a few big names that have been backwards in the gravel trap at various corners. We were discussing earlier, George, you said yourself, there's plenty of corners on this track, and I'm pretty sure you can spin at every single one of them. If we were to sit and name all the corners we could spin at, we'd be naming every single corner. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity to get it right, and it's very rewarding when you do, but there's a hell of a lot more opportunity to make a mistake.
Yeah, and the emphasis then immediately goes on to qualifying, which is what we're about to jump into in about, I think, 30 seconds' time. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, viewing live on the TrackSpot.tv Twitch channel or on the Adrenaline GT YouTube channel. Give us a like and a subscribe and a follow. All the support really does pay dividends on this side. And a big shout out as well, since we've got a little bit of an opportunity for the wait time, which is about 2-3 minutes now that I actually check it before we jump into qualifying. Do want to say a very big thank you to Adrenaline GT and in particular Isaac Fogarty for giving TrackSpot TV and RavenComms the opportunity to come in here and do the broadcasting and help out with the commentary, of course. Bit sideshow to yourself. You're a very famous man in this league.
I don't think myself as famous. I just like to make myself known to everyone, and yeah, we really appreciate here at Adrenaline GT you guys agreeing to come on board and form this partnership with us. We're already seeing just the dividends that it's paying with the product that you guys bring, and it's really good. And hopefully we can bring some really good racing tonight to kick this partnership off with a bang, because I know that's what I'm really excited for, is that just being able to showcase some of the awesome racing we have in this league, because it is absolutely incredible. Some of the things these guys can do, I would not be able to dream of doing that in a million years. So just being able to broadcast this to everyone and have you all tune in at home and watch along is just, yeah, absolutely awesome. And make sure that you guys subscribe to both our channel and to TrackSpot TV if you haven't already. And drop a like on both streams. Really would help us all out. We really appreciate the support that you guys give us watching along at home. And I have it on good authority, George, that we've just gone green in the pit lane and cars are filing out for qualifying. So it seems like the action is just about to get underway.
Certainly is. Yeah, qualifying begins now. 20 minutes of qualifying out there. It is 37 degrees Celsius on the track, 29 degrees Celsius ambient. The track currently set to fast. That will obviously change to optimum in no time at all. A little bit of overcast out there, but boy, oh boy, Isaac, it's a hot day out there. So really, you're going to get out there, get your tires into the window. That's not going to be a problem. The problem is going to be maintaining that tire temperature correctly over the course of your out lap so that you can get a good hot lap in. You might only get one or two before your tires start to just feel a little bit worse for wear. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely, and it's such a high load circuit, especially through this first sector, through the S's. The car is doing so much turning and there's so much stress on both sides of the car. It's not even just all one way because you're going left and right. So getting your tire temperature right is crucial for nailing this first sector, because if you come in with a little bit too much tire pressure and your tires are overheated, you're going to struggle. And if you don't quite have the tire temperature and the tire pressure, then you're going to struggle for grip and you're going to find yourself running wide through this SS section. So it's so crucial to get this right, and we can see already some of the games these guys are playing, maybe backing each other up a little bit, just to allow them to get some tire temperature in, but also the cars behind to maybe not have the clean air they want and have to back off a little bit more. And this is the games that I enjoy seeing these guys play in qualifying. You see it all across motorsport when they file out for an out lap for qualifying. They all start to sort of play around with each other and back each other up or overtake each other, and it's very exciting to watch, and it's really good stuff. But we can see the first few cars starting to come through as we're looking at Simon Bishop on the screen at the moment, starting to come through and start his qualifying lap. This is the man that has set the pace, not just throughout practice this evening, but throughout the series. This man has been the one to beat. Obviously, Paul Candanaleon managed to do that in the second race at the Dutch Super Sprint last time out, but we're yet to see someone really knock this man off. And I don't know, looking at the time splits today, George, in practice, I think today might be the day.
Yeah, it may well be, but remember, we've obviously had 50 minutes of practice. Simon Bishop is just one of those natural drivers that'll get faster and faster the longer you put him out on track. That's why he's so dangerous in those longer form races. Once he gets that lead and he goes for it, he is able to dial in like no one else. I mean, he's a multi-GT World Series driver. He's got all sorts of accolades from esports all around Australia and New Zealand. He's been involved in the Hyperfiber NZ League, in the New Zealand Esports Racing Series. This guy knows how to race, and I've seen him in these BMWs before. We've seen him, obviously, in the last 3 rounds here at AGT ACC. he is just an absolute weapon. The only person to really take anything to him right now has been Cam De Leon. And at the end of the day, yeah, maybe we see him pipped off his top step here, but I would trust this guy to put in a really good track, lap at this track, especially given its length today.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone is going to be able to put it together, not just over a lap, but over a race stint, it's going to be Simon Bishop and Paul Candanelli. And these guys have been absolutely untouchable. And I think we would see Paul Candanelli a lot higher in those settings that we talked about earlier, but he missed the first round. So he wasn't able to compete in the first round of the championship, which put him on the back foot for making a championship run. So Simon Bishop has sort of mostly been untouchable so far in terms of the lead that he's taken in the championship. But again, we're only halfway into this, and if this is what one person can do as we reach the halfway point, then with the same amount of races to go, I feel like it's anyone's game, really. It's on for young and old, but this man, he will be at the front, no doubt about that. And that first lap time didn't count. It looks like he may have invalidated at some point. The fastest lap we have seen so far is a 2:01.3 from Cameron Fleming. And then Simon Bishop's teammate, Liam Tame, about 9/10 back of that. As I say that, Matt Simmons has gone faster with a 2:01 dead. So he's staking claim as well. This is another man who is extremely well versed in both real life and virtual. We've spoken about his pedigree many times before, and he's always there. He's always at the front. He's always pushing, and maybe hasn't had quite the result that he's wanted so far in AGT. He's had it's been a little bit of a struggle streak getting his head around this Mercedes. We have been informed by these guys that it's a bit of a handful to drive this Mercedes, very loose in the rear, so they've taken a bit to get a handle on it, but he looks like he's starting to get a hand on it now, and Paul Candanelli has eclipsed his time with a 2:02.9, I should say, but it's looking very close at the top so far, and it's with still just under 15 minutes left to go in qualifying. This is going to make for a very exciting session. I think we're going to have to strap in.
Yeah, certainly, and he did say, it's a bit of a handful, the Mercedes. I mean, I feel like those guys are sandbagging. I think the Mercedes fans in general just enjoy the idea of sandbagging. Oh, my tires are gone. Oh, should I, my car's not that fast. My aerodynamics are not great. And then there's 3 Mercedes right at the top of the timing tableizing. So I don't know. I don't believe these guys for a second. And I'm admittedly a McLaren fan, so I'm probably just a little bit biased. But yeah, 0.4 of a second between the top 3 right now. Then it's another 0.5 of a second. That back to Machin, the first Ford Mustang on the grid. There's a few of them out there. They're usually quite a popular car, especially at a circuit like this. But there we go. BMW, Simon Bishop does put in the right time, and that is 4/10 clear.
Yeah, absolutely. He is absolutely flying, and those BMWs, they have the advantage of that straight line speed. These cars are very quick in a straight line, so expect the BMW and the Ford Mustang to be quick in the final sector, especially because that's where the big long straight is into 130R, and then obviously down the front straight. So these guys do have the power advantage, and the BMW, it's quite handy through the corners if you can get the setup right. And I know these guys have been working very hard on their setups this week to make sure that the car is rotating just the way they want it to through this section. He's got a bit of traffic in front to Simon Bishop at the moment, and we're looking at Liam Tame now as well in the sister BMW, the 76 car. He's currently 8th place and about 1.5 seconds back on that time of Simon Bishop at the moment. Paul Candanelli, look at that gap between first and second, 0.035 of a second. That is, I believe, 3/100ths of a second. Just
Correct.
Trying to do numbers in my head. It is 3/100ths of a second between first and second, and that is, in the grand scheme of things, George, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we're talking about a small part of the car, a couple of meters. So within the car width of being across the line, that is impressive stuff by Candanelli. And you have to help me pronunciation there, but the 87 certainly stretching its legs. So any complaints about the Mercedes certainly looking like a bunch of fibs at the moment. But that 2-minute 0.4 still unbeaten. Isaac, we were talking earlier on about if someone does manage to do a sub 2-minute lap here, that'd be an instant ban. Stop go 30 for the start of the race at least. I mean, are we still going to do that? Is that still the plan? You are the admin.
Absolutely. If you go sub 2 minutes, disqualify from qualifying, because I will be absolutely impressed, and I have no doubt that these guys are right on the edge. If you look at their optimal lap times, I reckon they're very close to a sub 2 minute lap. But it's just absolutely rapid pace, especially with we run the low fuel motorsport, the LFM balance of power in this league, and it's supposed to take power out of these cars and make them slower, and I'm just not seeing anyone go any slower. So it's really close at the front now, and I think these guys are going to continue pushing on. We've got 11 minutes left of this session, so potentially time for another set of tyres and see these guys make another run and go faster as this track gets even faster and faster. We've reached the optimum track surface now, so the track is as fast as it's going to get, really. That cloud cover still hanging around as well. It's going to stay with us for the duration of this session. We're going to have that cloud cover. So if you can time it right as well with the cloud cover, it might take a little bit of temperature out of that track surface and just make it even easier. We see this all the time in motorsport. If you just get a bit of cloud cover on your lap, not too much to make it horribly overcast, but just enough to take the sting out of the sun on the track surface, it can really help you out. And as I say this, Pork and Leon has just managed to eclipse that time of Simon Bishop, and he's done a 2 minute and 4 dead. Like dead. Absolutely could not get any more to the 0 if you tried, and that means that he is now 200ths clear of Simon Bishop. So even closer at the front now. It's going to continue going. We're looking on board with James Hammond at the moment. He is the man leading the way in the Pro-Am class standings, and he's doing a great job in this championship. He is up the front. Both himself, Matt Donetti, and Dan Crawley have been fighting up the front all throughout this series with the pro guys. A lot of people saying maybe they should go to the pro class, and that'll be certainly something that we're revisiting for the following season. But he's just doing an absolutely mega job. The Mustang is really quick, and he looks right at home behind the wheel of this thing. There's a bit of apprehension as he goes wide off the circuit. Commentator's curse. I've put the curse on him, but I was just about to say, prior to this season, he was a bit apprehensive about getting behind the wheel of the Mustang, but I believe that he's quite enjoying it now. So that's really good. And this is Tyler Lanzell. He's filling in for, I believe it's Ian Stewart, who's unable to make the race tonight. So he's one of our reserve drivers, is Tyler Lanzell. He's jumping behind the wheel tonight to fill in for him. So it was really good that we have such a great community of drivers, both full-time and reserve. And how it works with our reserve drivers, for those that don't know and are following along at home, there's a full-time driver that's not able to make it. There's a reserve that can, as reserve driver says, yep, I'm happy to drive that, and they jump in the car, usually with the driver's livery and race number, and they get behind the wheel, and then they get points for themselves. So Tyler will score points for himself tonight, but he won't get anything but points in the overall standings. He won't get any class points because he doesn't technically have a class. He's just assigned as a reserve, so he'll get overall points for himself and team points for the team that he's filling in for. So he's doing a great job so far as well. He currently sits 6th overall, which is a mega result. So he's doing really well so far. This is getting really interesting at the top. We've got the top 4 cars by less than a second. I'm just looking down the grid to see anything that's happening in terms of closivity. What have you got for us, George?
Well, I have to admit, we may have to hand out a stop-go 30 here, or at least ban this man from the server, because Simon Bishop has heard us on the radio comms, and he has gone and said, you know what, a 159, why not? Let's just go and do it. So it's a 159.952 for the top of the grid, 0.448 of a second clear of Candanelion. So unfortunately for the number 87 guy, he's going, oh, where did that come from? And I think, yeah, Isaac, you're probably going to have to get onto the slash SG30 there and just give this guy a big slap on the wrist for being that fast. I mean, it's incredible as well. Sub 2 minute time. Really, really great job from Simon Bishop. Super impressive time. But boy, oh boy, I mean, slow down, mate. Slow down. It's okay. You're going to do well in the race. We know you're going to do well in the race. A few other things around the grid. We've got Matt Denetti, the number 51 car, the Aston Martin. He has managed to put himself up into P3 as a Pro-Am driver. Leapfrogs his way past both Hammond and Lansdale, even though Lansdale managed to get himself up to 6. A really, really good job. Then the AM class, we've got XL, who's just jumped up to P14 in a Ferrari of all things, which some people think is quite a good car here. I don't think it's the best car here, that's for sure. Ahead of formerly leader of the AM class in this grid, Mr. T.
Yes, Mr. T. I believe he goes by the name on Discord of Pukitis. I'm not sure. Some of the drivers, we encourage drivers to put in, obviously, you can see most of them here, their first name and their last name, and it does the first initial and the last name. Some drivers elect not to do that, which makes it difficult. But so he's in here as Mr. T. So that's how he's represented for this race. But that is, yeah, OzXL top 10 at the moment as a AM driver, which is a really, really good result. He's filling in tonight for FR Racing, obviously our reigning mini-series champion, who usually we'll see sporting the number 1, Ridwan, is not here this evening, so we've got OzXL filling in for him and has to use the number 14. We don't let the fill-in driver use the number 1, but yeah, he's doing a really good job so far. Last time out at, I believe it was, he was on top 10, even for a top 10 as well. He was a reserve last time out on the BMW, and he was doing a really good job, and then just a couple unfortunate incidents and unlucky spins put him down the order. But he's a really strong driver, and hopefully we can see him on the grid full-time next season. There's a few drivers in here that we'd love to see full-time on the grid next season, but they're all doing an excellent job so far. And Simon Bishop, yeah, that is just absolutely alien pace. And he's doing a really good job, and we've still got 5 minutes left in this session, so surely someone somewhere has got something to improve and take it to Simon Bishop in this last 5 minutes, because we'd love to see a really close fight for pole.
Certainly would do. I mean, we said it earlier on, the longer the track, generally the more that these alien skills do rear their very beautiful heads. And in this case, Simon Bishop certainly has put in an incredible time there. I mean, that is really, really fast. You'll have PC players who are quick, who can't make up that sort of time at a circuit like this. That said, I think we've seen things like 58s before from the super aliens. There's like classes of aliens now. It's absolutely unreal how esports has evolved over the years, certainly in the last couple of years. Things just getting bigger and bigger. From point of view of me, I mean, I'd love to see more of Matt Denetti. This guy is racing in all sorts of leagues, primarily, I think, in GT7 at the moment. And I tell you what, he is just the most incredible driver. He is switched on, he is incredibly quick, and I've been privileged to watch and broadcast on many of the races that he's been in and watch him progress. When I first saw him, there was a lot that was left on the table for a guy like Matt Denetti, but he has just been getting better and better over the years. And now to come into ACC on PlayStation 5, and find his way in a league like this and in amongst some really serious contenders. I mean, he's only less than 0.5 of a second away from Simon Bishop and only 0.03 of a second away from Candanolion. So honestly, incredible work by this guy in Pro-Am. Definitely going to be hearing a lot of whispers, I suspect, about a pro upgrade for this fella, a white badge on the back of his car, potentially for next season. But Matt Denetti, certainly one to impress. Just quickly going through our top 10 as we head towards the last 3 minutes of qualifying here. We've got Simon Bishop in the lead in the number 2 BMW, then it is Candaleon in the number 87 Mercedes, followed by the Aston Martin of Matt Denetti, the number 51 car. Then it's the number 8 car of Simmons in the Mercedes, and then we've got a couple of Ford Mustangs there in P5 and P6, Machin and Carter, the 711 car. I love that for the American branded car. Then it is Tyler Lansdale in the 98 BMW, followed by Fleming in the Mercedes, number 7, and then Tame, sorry. I tried to combine the words Liam and Tame there, but it is Tame from BMW on the number 76. Just has his spot taken away from him by a very quick Hammond in the Ford 59 car.
Yeah, it's very close across this top 10. I was noting earlier, 5th to 12th is less than a second apart, so very close between sort of this back half of the top 10 battle. It's looking very close at the moment, and right in amongst it is XL, who has gone to 10th, so he's improved a spot up the order and finds himself in 10th position. We see a car going wide there, not sure who that is. That might be XL going back to the lane. It certainly was. So just going off the track to go back to the lane. The drivers are asked to move well off the racing line or off the circuit if possible to return to the lane, because you have to bring these cars to a complete stop in this game to return to the pit lane. So Gran Turismo, you're able to just pause and click back to the menu. You're not allowed to bring up the pause menu in this game until you've brought the cars to a complete stop. So we just ask that drivers get right out of the way. But yeah, we've got about 1 minute 44. So anyone in the lane now, you won't see back out. So Matt Donetti is done. He's gone to second and is 2 tenths, I should say, off that time of Simon Bishop. So he's absolutely flying around here, bordering on a 1 minute 59 himself. And the big question for me now is, can Dan Leon, Simmons, or anyone towards the front there improve to take it to Simon Bishop in this pole? So Simon Bishop's still circulating at the moment. He's still doing laps. Paul Quintana Leon's still doing laps. Matt Simmons still doing laps. They'll probably get another lap in each, I would say. Just trying to look at where they are on the circuit. They should all get another lap in, so they'll get one more crack at this. Having a look, we've got Liam Tame not too far off, less than or just over a tenth off the edge of the top 10, and Dan Crawley not too far behind. So we've got a few cars looking to crack their way into the top 10 of this one as well. And that's another car that's just come up the order. Trying to work out who. That's Cameron Neame coming up into 7th place now. So Cameron Neame jumps his way up, pushing XL back down to 10, and James Hammondy's teammate, Neame's teammate, outside the top 10. So pushing your teammate out the 10. Matt Simmons has just gone to second. Simon Bishop's gone even faster, I've just noticed. It's a car backwards at turn 1. It's all happening with 17 seconds to go. We are almost at the end of qualifying. This is, can we get a shot of Pork and Dan Leon back in the broadcast truck? Hopefully they can hear us and get a shot going for us. There we are. And this man, can he improve on this lap? He is currently 4th, 7 tenths back from our provisional pole sitter of Simon Bishop, and he's pushing hard. You can see that car is on the edge, on the limit, right on the edge of grip at the moment, through the S's and up towards the track layout is escaping me now. Right when I need it most, the names of the corners are escaping me, but towards the end of the first sector we go. Over the curb, using as much curb as possible, trying to get wide on the exit. See him riding all the way over that curb, pushing the edge of the track limits, down towards the hairpin. He's got a lapped car in front of him. Hopefully they can either stay clear or move out of the way. If he does, it's a McLaren. Looks like one of the McLaren Motorsport cars. So hopefully they get out of the way. He looks like he's still on it at this point. Staying, you can see that sort of grooved in line where the track is rubbered in for the racing line here. Deep into the brakes, down towards the Dunlop curve, round towards this long final straight. You've got to maximise your exit here. You don't want to be too late onto the throttle. You've got to absolutely maximise the exit. Can he go faster? We're not sure what his split time looks like at the moment, but hopefully it's up. Matt Simmons is about to cross the line. Can he improve further? Here we go, into 130R now for Paul Quintana Leon. Flat through 130R. You don't lift if you want to get a good time around here. Matt Simmons does not improve, so he stays second. What can Paul Quintana Leon do through the final chicane? Down around the final corner towards the finish line. You've got to run all the way down the front straight to get towards the finish line. He's hugging as inside line as he can, crosses the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does, to second place here of Matt Simmons. And he puts himself on the front row. So that's an absolutely brilliant lap from Paul Quintana Leon to get himself onto the front row, and crucial track position at a track that we've already mentioned, George. It's so hard to overtake at.
Oh, that's right. And look at this split right here. P2, 3, and 4 separated by 0.06 of a second. It is absolutely nail-bitingly close there. Simon Bishop, yeah, stop, go 30. Absolutely. Wonderful lap that. Right at the end, but to 1:59.697 takes the top spot in qualifying before this 1 hour race at Suzuka. And boy, oh boy, I mean, that P2, 3, 4 there, I thought Simmons might have just held on to it, but 0.02 of a second was all that was in it between the 8 and the 87 Mercedes. I think they were absolutely sandbagging all the way through that. Look at those results there from those two. They have put in an absolutely stellar effort to put themselves in those positions. Matt Donetti leading the Pro-Am class there in P4 overall. His nearest competitor in P8 isn't going to be looking a lot behind him other than worrying about those pro drivers that he's beaten to the punch today. That's Machin, Tame, and Neem in P5, 6, 7, also separated by absolutely nothing, about 0.2, 0.3 of a second in it between them. 0.04 of a second between P5 and P6, Isaac. Then you got Lansdale, Carter, and Fleming, your top 10, followed by XL, who just got edged out of that top 10 at the end by absolutely nothing as well. What a fantastic bit of qualifying we've just seen.
Absolutely, a spectacular piece of qualifying. I can confirm 5 tenths on the dot between 5th place and 12th place, which is not a lot when this lap is as long as it is. And I've just received a message from the man himself, Mr. Matt Donetti, asking that I please ignore his time as he wants to stay Pro-Am. I don't think we can ignore a lap as good as that when you go P4. So the request, unfortunately, looks like it'll be denied at this point.
I'll tell you what, I've got a piece of advice for you, Matt Donetti. Go and talk to the Mercedes guys about sandbagging, all right? And you'll learn a thing or two about keeping yourself in Pro-Am. That's the way it is. We've got 4.5 minutes until the session starts, and looking like the weather here is slightly changed, slightly cooler out on track, Isaac, couple of degrees Celsius on the tarmac, still optimum, but that cloud cover is here, so that means longevity of tires might be something that plays into the strategy today, which is going to make it an interesting race.
Absolutely, and we can see very overcast, at least for the next 30 minutes. Maybe some rain to come with it, we're not sure, but it's a 35-degree track temperature at the moment. That probably will cool as the session goes on. So that'll be something we keep a close eye on. But yeah, overcast for the start of the race here. I'm just looking back at my stat sheet from qualifying, George, and Simon Bishop, fastest first 2 sectors in the BMW. The last sector, surprisingly, it's not a BMW, it's not a Ford, it's a Mercedes. I say that, it also is a Ford because we have 2 drivers that have done the exact same time in the final sector, and that's Paul Cadena Leon and Cameron Neem. Both did a 26.5 in the final sector to be both fastest, both purple in that sector. So some very quick times, and Cameron Neem was 7th, so he was extremely quick in that final sector. It just shows the power and the straight line speed that Mustang has, especially in that final sector, but there's not much in it. Just looking at some of the sector times, the sector splits between the tops, there's not a lot in it, and it's going to make for a very exciting race because it's it's really close between these guys, and one small mistake from someone will just open the door for so many people to look to make a move. So very excited for this. We'll have a quick chat. I believe we briefly touched on this earlier, but I'll just run through how the race will go. So there's a full formation lap. These guys will set off in about just under 3 minutes time. They'll set off on a full formation lap, which gives them plenty of time to phase their tires and get themselves set in the mindset for this race start. We then have a rolling start, a rolling grid start, so drivers will line up 2 by 2 to line up on the grid to start this race. You can see on the timing screen there a little 1 next to the driver's race number. So you got X Bishop, then his car, his driver number, and then a little 1. That denominates how many mandatory stops each driver has to take. So there's 1 mandatory stop for this race for at least a set of tires. So some drivers may take fuel if it fits in with it's covered under their tire stop time. A tire stop is about 30 seconds, so if they can get fuel in 30 seconds, they'll certainly put some fuel in, but they have to at least stop for tires. So there's no mandatory pit window, George, so I think we'll see a fair few varying strategies of when people decide to take tires here, which should hopefully open us up, especially if we've got some weather on the way, should open us up to an interesting race.
Well, this is the strategy decision you need to make. I mean, tires will easily last an hour. That's really not a problem. You could pit right at the end, no pit windows. So last lap or just before the last lap, you jump into the pits, do your pit stop then. All good, no worries. Some people will want to retain a bit of the grip. I mean, the standard strategy at a race like this is to half the strategy. It's a 1 hour race. That means a 30-minute window for your first stop. And then you go for that pit stop, get some fresh tires. That's why you're keeping the freshest possible tires for the maximum amount of time on both those stints. But equally so, if you know that you can control the tire temperatures and the wear and the graining on those tires, then jump into the pits early. Get yourself out of traffic and away from danger, and get yourself into a nice rhythm where you can drive by yourself for a bit until everyone else starts doing those pit stops, and you might find yourself gaining a few positions very, very quickly. On the opposite side, like I said before, you might just want to ride it out. Simon Bishop, we might see him out there for 58 minutes before he jumps in for his pit stop. So all of this can play in, and this is why the strategy decision is so key. You also have the factor, Isaac, you've briefly mentioned it at the end there, with the weather. We don't know if it's going to rain today. You may want to run a longer stint at the start, risk being involved in crashes and overtaking, getting yourself slowed down the overall race, and then wait out for any impact that the weather does inevitably have on your racing. That said, you might wait too long and you're running slow on Grange tyres towards the end. So a lot of balancing acts for the drivers to do, and it's going to come down to how they drive these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very, very driver dependent on how you drive this car today, and I think we'll see some varying strategies. You're going to be taking a risk by going early here because, as you said, as we both said, we don't know what the weather's going to do. So pitting early is a risk. We have a car in the pit lane, and that is Mr. T has been put in the pit lane, which means that they didn't hit drive in time for the formation lap. So that car, the 4-4 car that qualified 17th, will have to start from the back in this race. And it is a 25 car field, so he'll lose a few positions and have to start at the back, which is very disappointing for him. But we see the cars on their formation lap now and getting underway. So this is very exciting, where the build-up is on its way. There's OzXL. He just messaged in the chat not that long ago. He's only had 4 hours on this game, which is not a long time in the grand scheme of things, especially given how complex this game is. A lot of these guys play GT7, and it's a great game, and it's a lot of fun, and in many ways quite realistic, but this game just takes it up a level. We were talking earlier about how this is just an absolute racing simulator, and this just, yeah, for all intents and purposes, say what you will about the Italians, but they've designed a very, very good racing simulator in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and jumping over and only having 4 hours of experience in this game is just a testament to the natural talent that this kid has. He's only 16 years of age as well, so quite young, and you can see Simon Bishop there leading the way for the field. But yeah, a bit of mix of youth and olds in this field, and also game experience, it would appear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got the leader of the field here, Simon Bishop, who's a self-proclaimed old guy. He doesn't like people to look at pictures of him online and all that sort of stuff, but he's an incredibly nice dude and an awesome sim racer, of course, and not a bad-looking fella, if I may say so myself. But yeah, we've got a mix of all sorts of experiences, and I think, one of the nice things about simulators these days is they're becoming so accurate in so many different games that the skills are starting to translate over. If you go back in the day, your Ridge races really were never going to be good at Gran Turismo 1 or Mario Kart. It just didn't translate over. Different physics, different engines, different programming languages had a bigger effect on that. And now these days we see these simulators which are coming closer and closer to real life. And that's what has kicked off the sim racing esports and the professional esports drivers and all of that, because we're seeing these interchangeable skills being developed between all these drivers. So hats off to XL. He's obviously got it down, and he's trained himself in some pretty good general motorsport skills out there. Lots of stories to talk about here, Isaac. We've had a great qualifying. Everyone was so close. This start is going to be wild, and really that turn 1 double apex as you head in through turn 2, my goodness, you've got to get that absolutely right. If you're going to go for ascend, it's got to be clean, it's got to be clear, and you've got to trust the drivers around you, because as soon as you're through that, you're into the S's section, then up Dunlop, then into the Degners, then the hairpin, then you got Spoon, and only then do you have a real straight to work with as you head down towards 130R and the Casio Triangle. It is a tricky, tricky opening lap, this. We've got a lot of cars on grid. I'll count them up for you now. 25 cars on grid right now. Technically 24, Mr. T is in the pits. But boy, oh boy, this first opening bit of the race is going to be key. 60 minutes ahead of us, Isaac, and all these stories about to play out.
Absolutely. You can see the cars forming up now. So they're taking their spot in the grid. They'll have a little piece of UI in front of them that says this is where you have to be. And you can see they're getting very close to each other as we go through the chicane. It's very tight through the chicane, very hard to go side by side. So having to do it on this lap is very tricky. But here we go. We're focused on Simon Bishop, this front row. These guys were locked in battle. We can see a car jumping into the pit lane. Not sure who that is or what that's about. We'll try and get to the bottom of that for you after we get underway. But we can see cars gritting up. Here we go. 60 minutes starts now. We are away and racing for... Are we? No, we're not. The lights have gone out, but no one's gone yet. I apologise. We are now away. There we go. The lights are out. We are away for 60 minutes of Suzuka here for round 4 of the AGT ACC series presented by TrackSpot and RavenComms. And here we go, slightly wide for Paul Leon into turn 1. This is a great start for Simon Bishop. We've got a car backwards. We have a car backwards at turn 1, a massive incident. Not sure who that is. We'll try and find out for you. It's Matt Donetti facing the wrong way. And this man cannot catch a break. He had a similar time at the Nürburgring. We've got cars off everywhere. Matt Donetti facing the wrong way. Such a strong qualifying for him, and now finds himself at the back of the field. But it's been a great start for Simon Bishop. More contact in the back there. Not sure who that was, but there was a Porsche and it looked like maybe a BMW making contact or a McLaren making contact at the back of the field there. But we have got Simon Bishop out in front at the moment. It says Matt Donetti is leading the way, but as they cross the first sector here, the split times will update and your leaderboard will be corrected. So Simon Bishop leads the way from Matt Simmons, then Paul Leon, then Liam Tame, then Cameron Fleming, then Cameron Neem, Dan Crawley, Les Sandwith. A great start for Les Sandwith. He was down the order in qualifying, but he now finds himself second in class. So he is right up the order at the start of this one and made use of a turn 1 incident, making a great start. So well done to him. OzXL still in the pit lane as well, I'm noticing. So potentially an issue for him there. But yes.
That's right, yeah. We saw XL jump into the pits immediately, so something has clearly gone absolutely wrong. And the Pro-Am guys have really suffered, most of them, unfortunately, in the beginning of that race. We've got Lansell, we've got Hammond, we've got Crawley and Sandwith, who have taken advantage of that situation, got themselves up into that top 10 so far. But Donetti included, I mean, what a shame that is. From third on the grid all the way down, and Simmons has taken big advantage of that. Look how close. He's right on the rear wing of Simon Bishop. He's going to get a whiff of slipstream. And it's not going to be a whiff. It's going to be an absolute wind. It's going to be a tornado of slipstream. He's going to come on the inside of Bishop. Gets the fastest lap all at the same time, and Simon Bishop cannot do anything about that. We'll hope that the Mercedes runs a little bit wide, which is what Leon did early on in turn 1. That allowed Simmons to get up ahead of him on the inside of turn 2. That gave him the position, and he's actually ended up with 2 positions, technically speaking. That BMW of Simon Bishop doesn't look like it's going at full pelt, Isaac. I think he might be just keeping the tyres within a range at the moment, whereas these Mercedes guys seem to be absolutely foot to the floor right now. Expect Leon to be right on the tail of Simon Bishop and looking for an overtake very, very soon. The top 3 split by absolutely nothing right now.
Absolutely. It's so close between these top 3, and I think you might be right. I think he's just sort of biding his time here as Simon Bishop. I've just gone back to have a look at that incident at turn 1, and it was the 193 car of Machen that made contact with the left rear, or the right rear, sorry, of Matt Donetti, which caused the rotation of that car, and then multiple cars involved. Too many for me to sit and try and count up were involved in that incident. So a very, very messy incident. It was spoken about in the driver's briefing that we wanted it to go easy into turn 1, nothing silly. Most of the races so far have had some fairly drama-filled incidents at turn 1. We just wanted to get lap 1 underway, get everyone just through the first lap, and then everyone can take a breather and start to battle. And unfortunately, we've seen another incident take place at turn 1, and I'm sure the stewards will look at that post-race. But we can see we've got Porsche GT up into the top 10 now. He's also made a great move, or great headway at the start of the race here, taking advantage of that incident. He's got James Hammond right behind him, who, after his qualifying, will be looking to make moves to get back up the field. He unfortunately got caught up in that incident at turn 1 and lost positions. We see him looking to the outside now of Porsche GT into the chicane. The switchback move could be on here, but he gets stuck on the outside again. Can't quite make it work. That's a car running through the chicane. That looks like Mark Sinclair running through the chicane. So missed his braking marker possibly to try and get through the chicane there. But we got James Hammond sizing up again on. He's got the lights flashing on Porsche GT, and you've got Tyler Lansdale right behind. And there we go. That lovely move into turn 1 for James Hammond to get that stuck and move himself inside the top 10. And now Lansdale is having a look at Porsche GT as well, round the outside as we enter the S's. Mark Sinclair now going to have a look. Porsche GT is getting a bit swallowed up here. He's going to have to try and get into a bit of a rhythm if he wants to hold on to these positions, because he's got some fast charging drivers who are looking to make inroads back up the field behind them. And yeah, it's all kicking off here. There's no shortage of action so far, George.
Oh, what we wouldn't have expected anything otherwise at a 1-hour Suzuka race. I mean, everyone's hyped up, everyone's ready to go. Optimum conditions out there at the moment. No doubt, turn 1, always going to be a bit of chaos there. And, you know, when you stick the nose in, yeah, if there's a car there already, I mean, inevitably in turn 2, everyone drops out wide at the exit of turn 1, drops it back in to go nice and smooth onto the throttle through turn 2, and these things unfortunately do happen. Stewarding, of course, happens through a ticketing system on the Discord. And I mentioned as well, if you do want to get involved, go and search up Adrenaline GT on Discord. I think there's some links in the YouTube channel description. Get involved. This racing is for everyone. You can get involved. Doesn't matter how fast you are. There's racing for you at Adrenaline GT. Massive thanks, of course, to the Adrenaline GT ACC team and the admins, absolute legends. The battle at the top has cooled down slightly, 0.4 of a second gap between those three right now. And I'm just looking around the field to see if there's any other closer gaps. We do have a very close gap between Sinclair, and I believe that's Carter ahead. It was so, but Sinclair has actually fallen off the back of these guys. So that's going to be Carter on Porsche GT. And to make your point again there about Porsche GT, probably found himself a little bit out of position. And so, you know, when you get swallowed up, you've got some drivers in the background that are a lot faster than you. They're pro drivers. Got Carter behind them now in that Ford 711 with some beautiful colors on the card. Oh, a little bit of the rear bouncing up and down at the exit of the Casio Triangle for Porsche GT. Compromise on the straight might even be enough for Sinclair to sneak on through as well. But Carter now up into P12 and charging after Lansdale and Hammond. We've got four. Oh, the big contact. That's Porsche GT has been hit in the rear there by Sinclair, turn 1. So more action. I think we're actually just going to keep the cameras on Porsche GT because there's a lot of action around the number 5 McLaren right now.
Yeah, and there seems to be a lot of action at turn 1, so maybe we just keep the cameras pointed at turn 1 for an indefinite amount of time. But I'm just looking at this top 3 at the moment, George, and it's quite close. They've not separated. Simon Bishop's still in that Mercedes sandwich. And I think if I was in that position at the moment, I'd be feeling quite uncomfortable because Matt Simmons, he's not quite pulling away, maybe playing the team game and trying to back up Simon Bishop into Quintana Leon because these guys are teammates, of course. And Quintana Leon, he looks, that Mercedes looks very quick, very speedy. It was very speedy in qualifying. And yeah, Simon Bishop, if I was him right now, I would be sweating. I wouldn't know which way to look. Do I look in front? Do I look behind? Because I've got a guy in front that I would love to overtake to try and get away, but at the same time I've got a very fast charging Paul Condenley right behind me looking to make a move the second I slip up.
Yeah, that's right. And, 20 minutes to go until we really know what the weather is going to do for the remainder of this race. Then we should have the 30-minute forecast coming up. I think these three are now just thinking, okay, look, we've sorted out our positions. There's no point in pushing the car right now. Need to save these tires. Need to make sure that the car is feeling stable through this circuit. And, of course, you've got those high-speed left-hand corners. So the right-hand tires do take an absolute pummeling at a circuit like this. And then the left tires take a pummeling at turn 1. So all around, you're going to get these cars really, really damaging the tires. I want to call to attention as well, Isaac, that Tame is actually holding on to these guys. The gap really hasn't changed from about 2 seconds. If something happens in strategy, we've got Tame there to pick up the pieces of what happens ahead.
Absolutely, and he's got Cameron Fleming right behind him as well, so he's not too far off the back of these guys. So Cameron Neem looking to do a bit of a recovery drive. He got caught up in that incident on lap 1 as well. So he's looking to push back towards these guys at the front. He didn't quite qualify the car where he wanted to, and I think he's just happy to be up into that top 6 and be in the equation today. Dan Crawley leading the way in the Pro-Am class at the moment with Les Sandwich still in second in class. And it's about 4 seconds back at the moment to James Hammond, who is on a mission to try and catch him to get himself back up towards the front. So he's currently sitting 10th, looking to get towards the front of the field. But yeah, Dan Crawley doing a very good job. He's new to AGT for this season. He came in just before the season started, and he's driving for Team XV Primer, which is the sister team for Team XV, which is led by the man currently second in class for the Pro-Ams, Les Sandwich. a very well-known figure in the AGT space. He runs a great YouTube channel. Go check that out as well if you haven't already. He's streaming all tonight's action, so if you want to see what happened from his point of view later, following the broadcast, I highly suggest going and checking that out, because I'm sure he's got some great in-car angles of some of that action and just how he got up into that 9th place off the start. But he's doing a great job so far as well. Both these Team XV cars, both the BMW and the Ferrari, doing a great job so far. And yeah, Dan Crawley, I've been very impressed with him so far. He wasn't quite sure how he'd go coming into this league and where his pace would be at, but he's been absolutely flying from the outset, and it's been evidenced by the results that he's put in round after round. He's doing an excellent job at the moment in that 31 BMW.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just chuckling at the choice words that probably came out of Les Sandwith's mouth on his channel as he saw the chaos unfolding in front of him. But I'm sure he's stoked to see his team member in the number 31 up there ahead of him. And he's in P9 at the moment, is Les. So, yeah, Les, very, very well-known name through many, many GT7 and ACC leagues. And that is a car round. And that, I believe, is Neem. Is it Neem? You might have to correct me on this. It's a yellow Mercedes. Sure. I think it might be
yellow
Fleming.
Mercedes, that will be Fleming. That is Cameron Fleming. He's back underway again, but he's now down in 9th, just with James Hammond just in front of him. So that was Cameron Fleming that went around there. We're not sure what happened. We'll get to the bottom of it for you to find out exactly what went on there. But yes, a very unfortunate. He was doing really well. He's running in the top 5, as you can see on the leaderboard there. But yeah, that's put him down to 9th. And promotes Dan Crawley 1 spot close to a top 5 spot, and Les Sandwith continues to climb up the field as well. And now Cameron Fleming has got a rearview mirror full of Mustang, George.
Yep, certainly does. That's a big bold Hammond right in behind him. And of course, if you want to take the Top Gear methodology there, you might be a little bit worried about what you're seeing there, but that's not the same Hammond. Different Hammond, better Hammond. Not going to be crashing into all the cars around him, but yeah, very unfortunate there. I think what's happened to Fleming in turn 1 is he's just gone a little bit too hot into that first corner, run out wide, and as soon as he hit that green strip there and out on the concrete, there is absolutely no grip there, Isaac, whatsoever, and the Mercedes is just a big body, big heavy Mercedes going to drag itself out there, and a spinneroo happens. Maybe there was contact, but I can't for the life of me see any damage on that car, so I think he might have been involved in a bit of an unforced error there, unfortunately, and that is a real shame because he was running right up there with the top guys, right behind Tame, right in there with Neem, and that would have been a great result for the Mercedes driver. But this is what happens. You are now 13 minutes into this race. You do get those periods every 13 to 20 minutes where the tires just start to lose a significant amount of feel and grip in them. And I think we're in one of those phases right now. The Mercedes can be especially brutal on its tires. I think that's the phase we're in right now, and he's just slightly misjudged turn 1. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that is definitely what has happened. I went back. We saw a replay of the incident. He's just sort of lost just there where he is in turn 1, as where he's going through now. If you look at his map down the bottom, he just sort of lost the car. Just sort of the undulation of the road. It's quite bumpy through that car and through that corner, and especially if you have the car aggressively set up, like I'm sure you have to for the Mercedes. I know you have to for the Mustang. Just one slightly wrong line through that corner and the car just gets so unsettled, and it's so easy to lose the car, like the rear end. And as you mentioned, the tyres sort of every 13 minutes just lose that little bit more grip, and I think it's just caught him out going to turn 1 there, which is a bit of an uncharacteristic mistake from Cameron Fleming, and we see him trying to get back into his rhythm now. He's obviously lost that spot to James Hammond, so James Hammond is up to 9th place, and he's got Tyler Lanzell right in behind him. We just saw in front, there's a car wide off in the background, and that would be, looked like a Mercedes, not a Mercedes, sorry, a AMG, because it's not Nick Carter, because he's a fair way back. It is looks like, yeah, it is. It's a AMG, no, Aston Martin. Well, I know what I'm talking about. And I believe it was Nicholson. So Nicholson currently 22nd, Matt Donetti in 21st. These guys are dealing as lap traffic at the moment. These guys are unfortunately lap down. That is, we see just disqualified as well is Mr. T. He's been disqualified from the race. So not sure what has gone on there. Possibly, maybe, I know this game is very strict. If you spin the car and you start to drive backwards too far, it does disqualify you from the race. So not entirely sure what has happened. That'll be something the stewards will have to look at following the race. But yeah, he has been disqualified. So there's now 24 cars remaining in this race. We've got OzXL down the back after having to pit early on in this race. So he's running it down the back, and then we've got Burrows, Nicholson, Donetti, and Takax up towards the back. We see Nicholson pulling to the side to let faster cars go, so getting out of the way of blue flags there to make sure that the faster cars can get through. So a great job to make sure that no one is impeded by that. But just having a look, we've got Porsche GT. He's leading the way in the AM class at the moment, so still doing a very good job. He's been battling with the faster guys, the Pro and the Pro-Am guys, but he's still leading the way in the AM class, so he's doing a good job so far.
Certainly is, and being leading the AM class, you just need to take it easy at this stage. You've got at least 10 seconds over the previous car behind you, P16. That's Boyd joining us in the BMW number 79 car, so plenty of gap, plenty of space to deal with. And those three drivers you called out before, Donetti, Nicholson, Burrows, all have done their pit stop already, so that's 3 cars going fairly early in this race. Get that pit stop out of the way. Donetti, we can understand that. He's probably got had a bunch of damage on that car. He needs to get out there, get the car repaired, get back on track, get his head down and start driving. He is a quick dude. We know how quick he is at this circuit, especially considering where he qualified in this race. Got a bit unlucky at that turn 1 incident. Needs to get his head down and just focus in, get the laps in, and you will find that you find some pretty good positions as a result of that. Ahead of these two, I think that's Machin and Griffin going for it as well. So we'll see if the cameras can eventually point at this battle. Plenty of action going around at the moment. 44 minutes remaining in this race. No temperature changes, no changes to the weather at the moment. Still optimum out there. And these guys are all having a pretty good race for the most part. A couple of yellow flags, a couple of incidents at turn 1. Not ideal at all, Isaac, but certainly from the point of view of a good race, we've seen it all so far, except for a stop-go 30 for Simon Bishop. When's that coming through? He's too fast.
Well, Matt Simmons is currently ahead of him at the moment, so I think that's doing the job that we of the stop go 30 at the moment. I think if he was in front of Matt Simmons, he'd be well off into the distance, but these guys have been inseparable. They're quite good friends in real life, obviously all racing for BCG, so they all know each other very well, and they're proving that on track with just staying together, just having a little hangout at the front, and they're pulling away slightly from Liam Tame. That gap now out to over 4 seconds between Condena Leon and Tame, so that gap is starting to grow.
Yeah, you know what I'm sensing here? Simon Bishop, I think he's that body language of that car is looking a lot more aggressive. He is getting on the power even sooner than he usually has been, and either the Mercedes are starting to run into that same tyre window that we saw Fleming get into a little bit earlier, or Simon Bishop has said, I've saved enough tyres, let's put the foot down, let's go for it, let's see if we can actually get this position back. He may even be heading towards a pit stop reasonably soon, probably getting a little bit sick of that dirty air he's running in, Isaac.
Yeah, and be very bold to go for an early pit stop. As we said, we don't know what the weather's going to do. We've still got 42 minutes left in this race, and the forecast only goes to half an hour. So we haven't quite got the full forecast for the remainder of this race yet. If it is going to rain, it looks like it's going to rain late in this race. But yeah, take a very bold risk and go for an early stop, or do you see the jelly? He's looking very aggressive through 130R, looking to the outside, and Matt Simmons very smartly parks the car in the middle of the track to cover that inside overtake attempt that Simon Bishop could go for, and this is now starting to go very loose. He's going to spin the car into the wall of the pit lane, and I think the decision's made for him, and he's going to have to come into the lane.
That is
unbelievable. His car has heard us talking and decided, nope, I think it's time to pit, and he's come in. So that is I would call that a very lucky escape for Simon Bishop there, because he lost control of the car. The undulation in the road, we've talked about this a lot, the undulation in the road around here, it's so bumpy, and the aggressive downforce setup you have to run. These cars are so low to the ground, so one small bump can really unsettle these cars, and he had to get offline there to try and do something different to try and get past Matt Simmons, and it's just unsettled the car. It's unnaturally bumped the car, which has caused the rear end to step out, and it's put him in the wall between the track and the pit lane, and then he's just had to roll into the pit lane.
Yeah, the decision was inevitably made for him. I mean, I thought that he was taking those slightly sharper lines. He was really clearly got a lot more grip than these Mercedes. He's taken that sharper line. He's able to get the power on earlier than the cars. He did that in Casio Triangle, but then he cut that last little bit, that last little curb, cut it a little bit too much, and the curb actually ends just before the concrete. So it looked like the rear right tyre just ducks just in between that little gap. And when you do that, Isaac, I tell you, the car will bounce. He couldn't control it at that point. He becomes a passenger. And luckily for him, the car said, you know what, we're going to take the pit lane exit instead of the barrier where Logan Sargent seemed to have made himself at home.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better option for Simon Bishop, but I'd rather be stuck on the inside in this pit lane than stuck on the outside and in the barrier and have to go around again. Cameron Fleming has got himself a 30-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane, and that is something that the game hands out, so that is not at the control of any of the admins of the series. We made that clear at the start of the season. That is handed out by the game. If you speed in the pit lane, there's that's on you. There's nothing we can do about it. They have a 50km/h speed limit in the lane. You have to make sure the car is slowed down enough before you get to the line. In Gran Turismo, you can go flat out all the way into the pits and the car will do it for you. Here, our drivers have to slow down before they get to the lane. So that is going to sting for Cameron Fleming, because that's essentially a whole nother pit stop that he's going to have to take, because the pit stop around here is about 30 seconds. You have to sit there. So he has to drive through the lane, sit for 30 seconds, and then go again. That's absolutely going to sting. He's already spun once in this race, which put him down the order, and this is going to continue to bite. So maybe a race that is not going his way today for Cameron Fleming. But this is Stankowski, and we haven't seen too much of him this season. He's missed a couple rounds. He was out. He raced last time in Zandvoort at the Dutch Super Sprint in round 3, but it didn't quite go his way. So a few tales of woe for the Mercedes guys, especially this team, these two in the yellow Mercedes. So Stankowski and Fleming, 96 and 7, are teammates. So a bit of a tale of woe in the last couple of rounds for these guys, but he's doing well so far. Car up into 6th place here, chasing down Dan Crawley for that top 5 spot. So Dan Crawley doing an absolutely mega job. Les Sandwith has got a fast charging, I believe that's Matt Donetti maybe behind him, trying to unlap himself. But he's doing a great job at the moment, is Les Sandwith as well, and that is Matt Donetti just unlapping himself on Les Sandwith. We know there's a lot of pace in that 51 Aston Martin, so he's doing a great job trying to get himself back in this, trying to catch up to ESR Renegade, who's currently in 19th place in the 32 Porsche. And Cameron Fleming now back in the lane to serve his 30-second stop go. So that's going to sting, George. That's not what you want to get in a race that's only an hour long with 37 minutes to go.
That's right. It's super painful, and for what, a few kilometers over the speed limit. Maybe he accidentally didn't engage the limiter. I've done it before when I've shifted up to second. It automatically turns off the pit limiter, and your car suddenly ends up at 90 kilometers an hour in the pit lane. You get a big penalty like that. It is so painful for yourself as a race. In a race, the race strategy kind of evaporates in front of you. Not fun at all, and you can see how painful this is. We can hear the cars going past. There's action happening out on track. It's all going on, and he's just got to sit there until that 30 seconds elapses. Back at the front, I was going to mention as well, we've got Camden Leon here. He's caught right back up to Simmons. There was a 1.5 second gap, Isaac, when Simon Bishop made that initial mistake and ended up in the pits. Simon Bishop, by the way, currently running in P17. He's got a lot of work to do, because that pit stop, with the damage that he's got, and I say that pit stop, that accident that he had, is going to cost him maybe 6, maybe 8 seconds out on track. So he's got to make all of that time back up, so that when these two guys come into the pits and they come out, he's actually still there, still back in the fight. But this gap has evaporated. It was 1.5 seconds, and Camden Leon has just said, you know what, I'm back. I'm back here. The gap is now 0.6 of a second, and we've suddenly got a race on for P1 again. Bear in mind that Paul's also been holding the fastest lap this entire race, so he's got the pace out there. And as I say that, the temperature, Isaac, has started to drop.
It certainly has. The temperature is starting to go down, and it's we've got 36 minutes to go, so we haven't seen any rain come up on our forecast yet, but there's still potential with 36 minutes to go that we could see something happen inside that last 30 minutes. These guys pushing really hard to stay towards the front, and they won't want to battle. If Camden Leon gets right to the back of Matt Simmons, they won't want to battle, because I can tell you now, Simon Bishop is coming, and he's coming with a vengeance. He is pushing hard. He's got a bit of traffic coming up in front of him, but they're a fair way up the road, so he's got a bit of clean air now, so he'll just be pushing out quali laps, and don't be surprised if he takes away the fastest lap of the race. This is Tyler Lanzell we are watching. Just one of the CP Motorsports Aston Martins getting out of the way there. He's in a battle with James Hammond at the moment. These guys were teammates at the Bathurst 3 Hour in December last year, drove a BMW together and did a very, very good job. They had an early incident, but they came back very strongly to finish inside the top 5 in that race. So they did an excellent job together, and they've gone from teammates now to rivals on track, and they are battling for track position at the moment in 8th and 9th place respectively. So they are looking to make some move, and they're pushing up to the back of Les Sandwith at the moment. So this is the battle for the Pro-Am podium as well, because Les Sandwith sits second in class, James Hammond third, and then Tyler Lansdale, is in fourth in class at the moment. So these three cars are about to have a very exciting battle for the Pro-Am podium, and Dan Crawley has just he's about 4 seconds up the road with Stankowski still just in front of him. So these guys having their own little battle. I think Stankowski was behind. He's made that move to get up into 5th place now, so he's in top 5. So expect to see him pull away and create a bit of a gap. And Dan Crawley just want to get himself into a rhythm. He's got a bit of track position now, and he'll just want to hold on to that as we push on in this race. But this gap at the front, it's getting closer, and I think we're about to have the added challenge of lap traffic in front of us.
Oh yeah, this is where things get fun, because blue flags is not an easy thing to deal with, especially when you're the one that they're waving the blue flags at. Where do you get out of the way? There's a few straights, obviously, that you can make the job very, very easy. But, you know, if you find yourself with a blue flag into turn 1, you're in a world of trouble. You really, really are. Also, note out there, we've got more people coming into the pits, so we've got about 6 or 7 cars now done their mandatory pit stop for this race, and they've decided that they're going to go long in the second stint. That's fair enough. You've got a pretty decent amount of time, pretty close to the 50-50 strategy, Isaac, that we were talking about before. So 3.5 more minutes. It'll be very interesting to see how many people are actually going to go for that split strategy versus one that's going to go a lot longer in this race. And we may be seeing that Simmons here has said, I need to look after these tyres, I want to run long, I want to be quick at the end. Whereas Camden Leon seems to have put the pedal down in the last few laps. Now he's starting to make that real progress, put the pressure on the back of that red Mercedes. So red versus blue, it's the battle of the ages, battle of the colours right now. And this is going to be a fantastic battle through the end. I'm fascinated to see if Simon Bishop can put himself in a good position. He's just set the fastest lap as Simon Bishop. That man is on an absolute rampage right now.
Well, call me Nostradamus, because I think I predicted it. I said he had clean air. He was going to go for that fastest lap, and that he has. He is absolutely sending it in that number 2 BMW at the moment. He is on a mission. He's got about 7 seconds to the car in front, and there's a couple AM cars in front of him, so hopefully he can clear those guys pretty quickly. But he's currently leading the way in terms of cars that have completed their mandatory stop. Nick Carter is the next driver in the queue to have completed his mandatory stop. And then we've got, looks like Matt Donetti as well. So Matt Donetti may be trying to get himself back into the equation here of a top 10 finish, which would be awesome after that incident we saw early on. Here we go, the lap traffic starting to play a role now in this. We can see cars going side by side and battling, and they're starting to, play a bit of a role. Is the lap traffic on this battle at the top, and this will be Simon Bishop will be rubbing his hands together at the thought of these guys battling away and trying to navigate this lap traffic. We've got another car right on 130R, not quite close enough. He gets out of the way on the exit of the corner. That's very well done from the Aston Martin driver. I believe that's Mark Sinclair that was in that car, so did a very good job of getting out of the way. Then we've got I believe that's the 193 car, no, the 711 car in front. So this is another guy that's already done a stop, so we won't want to give up too much time on Nick Carter getting out of the way with blue flags. But if push comes to shove, he's going to have to. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. He's closing up to the back of ESR Renegade, which is a move for position as well. So you can see that going on. ESR Renegade yet to stop. A little bit of side-to-side overlap. Paul Gandana-Leon's having a look here at the exit of turn 1 as we come into the S's, and not quite able to make a move. It's very bold to make a move there. We can see as I say that, Nick Carter going for a move around the outside of Renegade, but can't quite make it stick. There's a little bit of touch and go there on the rear end. A little bit of what do they call it? Signals, sign language, signs or smoke signals. I don't know what they call it.
The smoke signal, we'll call it that. They're throwing the torch in the eyes. They're turning it on. They're trying to say, hey, I'm here. And that's ESI Renegade has to give up the positions. He's got the blue flag waving. Bear in mind that a blue flag does get waved once you're within a second of a car that you are going to be lapping again. So fortunately for Carter, he's had the pace. He is a pro driver. He's really familiar with that Ford, Isaac, as you well know. He's got the pace. He's equaling the pace of the leaders right now. So he's able to stay just out of that blue flag range. And he is entirely allowed to stay there. We are approaching half race distance now. Good little battle there between ESI Renegade and Carter. Carter unfortunately ended up a little bit of damage, a little bit of shining the light in ESI Renegade's eyes, and that's caused him a little bit of pain there. But I tell you what, that body language of the red Mercedes you're seeing there of Simmons, the number 8 car, he's looking a little bit here and there. I think he's getting really worried. I think the sweat is starting to drip down his back into his sim racing seat, permanently causing the lovely smell that we all have in our sim racing gear. But Simmons, I don't think he's very comfortable right now.
No, we've reached the halfway mark, so we are over halfway into this race, so I won't be surprised if we see someone come in soon. They stay out for another lap, but these guys are going to want to stop soon because we can now see the forecast for the next half an hour, and it looks like we're going to stay dry for the remainder of this race. Don't want to jinx it, but it looks like it's a very real possibility that we stay dry for the remainder of this race. And I just want to, just quickly come back to Nick Carter, and what a great job he did there, because he very easily could have got held up behind Renegade and then had to concede that position to the 2 cars battling for the lead of this race. But he's done a great job to hold on to the lead of this race and keep those cars behind and stay out of that blue flag range. So well done to him. Means he can push on, and he's already back up into 15th place as we see more cars coming into the lane. So we've got a few more cars serving their mandatory stop now. We've got James Machin in the lane in the top 10, so he's in the pits. We've got ESI Renegade in the lane at the moment as well. James Hammond, this battle still going on with Les Sandwith trying to get past him for second in class. And then you've got, I believe that's Matt Donetti in behind. It is Matt Donetti in behind looking to try and unlap himself because he's got a lot of pace. But you've got to be careful when you're unlapping yourself, because these guys who are battling for position a lap ahead, you don't want to try and involve yourself too much in this battle, because that's going to cause issues which may result in a penalty if it's impeding or seen as impeding other drivers. So he's got to be really careful here about how he navigates this. These guys in front of him are still yet to stop, and hopefully he can see that and maybe just know that he just has to bide his time a little bit with these guys to just wait till they come into the lane.
Yeah, and bear in mind, Matt Donetti's been out there on tyres that are going to be much, well, they're not older than the other guys, but it's going to be. He needs to look after those tyres as much as possible, because he's running very, very deep into this race on that set of tyres, having done his pit stop. So he needs to avoid the accidents. He needs to make sure that once he clears these guys, he's able to put the foot down, use the tyres a little bit just for a lap or two to build a couple of seconds of gap, so you're not giving slipstream and getting that blue flag waved in your face the entire time. So Matt Donetti's got a really tough job here, especially considering there's 2 cars in front of him. Don't know what's happening with the BMW right behind, though. Something has happened there. I think that's Boyd. Yeah, Boyd's not having a particularly good time in this race so far. He's in blue flag territory, and I believe something has happened there to his account. I'm not quite sure what's happened. We're now focused on ESR Renegade for some reason. A number of people coming into the pits. Isaac, Neem, Crawley has decided to come in, so our Pro-Am leader is in the pits. Porsche GT is still out there running at the moment, and that's Hammond also going to be potentially pitting in the next little while, because I don't think he really wants to be involved in this battle for particularly long. It's a pretty stressful thing to be in a battle around here at Suzuka.
Absolutely, and these guys have been in a battle for a fair while. Spare a thought for Matt Simmons and Paul Cadena-Leon have been in a battle for the last 20 or 34 minutes. But I think we're going to see a lot of guys starting to pit now with the confidence that it's not going to rain. So they're probably starting to think, all right, the forecast is half an hour. We've got 26 minutes left in this race. I'm fairly confident it's not going to rain. I think I can pit now and be safe without losing too much time. So Cameron Neem in the lane. We've got Dan Crawley in the lane, our class leader for the Pro-Ams, and we've got George Cax in the lane, one of our AM drivers. So Cameron Fleming as well, also in the lane, but I think that may be unrelated. Riley Nicholson, I can confirm, has retired the car, so he's just sitting in the lane to make sure he can save the replay. But yeah, we've got a fair bit going on now, a bit of strategy playing out. Simon Bishop up inside the top 10, so he's starting to crawl his way back. And he's 22 seconds off Porsche GT in front, or he was at the start of the lap, so that may have changed. Probably not too much considering the lap's just started. 51 seconds back to Cameron Neame, or behind Cameron Neame, who has made his stop. So Cameron Neame is now leading the way of cars that have stopped. So he is ahead of Simon Bishop, and that is crucial because that gives us a very strong idea of where Simon Bishop potentially will pop out here, because those top 3 cars were all ahead of Cameron Neame prior to Cameron Neame's stop. So looks like potentially Simon Bishop is going to pop out around 5th place at the moment.
Yeah, it does look that way. I mean, we just saw the sector times update as they headed into sector 2. 4 seconds is the gap between Bishop and Neame, but, you know, we're going to expect to see a higher average lap time from Bishop when you compare it to Cameron and Neame. These two have fought out on track in numerous leagues across numerous platforms, and these two are well acquainted with each other, have met in real life. I've met them both at the New Zealand Esports Racing Series. Fantastic chaps they are. Certainly Simon Bishop, very respectful driver out there, but when he needs his opportunity, he will take it, and I think Neame will know the caliber of driver that is chasing him down right now. So far, no real movement in the sector time split between these two, still at 4 seconds, but expect that to come down. There we go as they head into sector 3, 3.7 seconds, so already in one sector, Isaac, 0.5 of a second faster. You can expect 2 or 3 laps. Bishop's going to be past Neame, so Neame's going to have to get the foot down, but he's going to have better tyres for the rest of this race. 24 minutes to go, and we are holding our breath until our leaders decide to pit. I think they're probably waiting another 4 or 5 laps here, Isaac. I could be absolutely wrong. I am not a driver of their caliber at all. But crikey, this is going to be interesting to see where Simon Bishop can put himself in relation to these guys and how much time that's actually cost him with that very, very small but significant mistake into the pit lane about 6 laps ago. Or longer than that, I think.
Absolutely.
8 laps ago.
And I just want to point out that the undercut has paid dividends for Cameron Neame because he has jumped Liam Tame. So Liam Tame, I noticed, was in the lane throughout that lap, and he has actually come out behind, once this leaderboard updates, he has come out behind Cameron Neame. So he is now between, as both our leaders are in. So here we go. This is what we were wondering how long they would wait, and with 23 minutes remaining in this race, they have come in. So these guys were comfortably in the lead, and there is Simon Bishop, and we've got Cameron Neame, Liam Tame and Simon Bishop showing the undercut, especially from Cameron Neame's point of view. That undercut is very powerful. Putting on fresh tyres is paying dividends, and you can see that Matt Simmons just pulling off to get ready to line himself up. Paul Leon getting ready to line himself up into the lane as well. Drives through the ghosted car of Cameron Fleming.
I think he's a little bit off centre there. Yeah, luckily they do, but I think he's a little bit off centre there. I think that might be Candeleon losing a little bit of time to Simmons. So I think Simmons is probably going to come out still ahead, but maybe with an even bigger, little bit of extra lead there. Simon Bishop coming through Spoon at the moment. Where are these guys going to pop out? We're just waiting, breath hold at the moment. Neame will be just ahead of them. Only 1.5 seconds really between Bishop, Tame and Neame. So these guys are going to be really, really close for the remainder of this race. Simmons gets going.
Here goes Matt Simmons. Oh, here we go.
It. He's absolutely nailed it. Candeleon is leading this race and he's beaten Simmons in the pit lane.
That is absolutely massive. I was just wondering what would happen if he had nailed that stop or if he got it slightly wrong. It was going to cost him. But actual fact, he's got it absolutely bang on. He's got traffic in front of him. You can see the lights flashing, but this is 4th position, so don't expect LJ to just step out of the way here for Candeleon. But that is absolutely massive in terms of the overall standings, because Candeleon has jumped Matt Simmons in the lane. So we saw he had a fast car. He was very quick behind Matt Simmons. Maybe just, as we mentioned earlier, it's very hard to overtake around here, so maybe struggling to make the overtake, and that has proved crucial for Paul Candeleon to get track position now over a fast-charging Simon Bishop, who's still on the way. So you can see that gap now between Candeleon and Matt Simmons already a little bit sketchy there with the I think it was the 43 Ferrari trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, he was trying.
No, maybe
I think was that Les? I think it might have been Les or whoever it was. They did a good job, but boy, oh boy, Simmons is just going, I don't really mind if you're ahead of me. I just need to put the foot down, and I'm going to put the foot down regardless. And the car's rear end just said, I don't really want to do that right now on tyres that are cold and not up to temperature. But he managed to do so. And you can see the body language of the car. He's sliding it through Spoon at the moment, trying to put the power down as soon as possible. He knows that gap cannot grow if he's got any hope of getting back into the lead of this race. And the 87 starting to run away with it. Look at that gap. It's actually gone larger since they came out of the pits. Simon Bishop, by the way, Isaac, 12 seconds seems to be the time that he's lost in terms of damage, in terms of the slowdown when he had that accident. He is completely out of the contention for a top 3 finish, and it puts Cameron Neame right in the box seat potentially.
Absolutely. Well, I wouldn't count him out yet. He's 3/10 off the back of Liam Tame, and then Liam Tame's about 1 second back to Cameron Neame. So I wouldn't count Simon Bishop out on a podium just yet. I might, at the expense of my own reputation, count him out for a race win, but I wouldn't count him out for a podium with 20 minutes to go, because that is the battle for third. You can see there is Cameron Neame, there is Liam Tame, and there is Simon Bishop. You can throw a blanket over all of them at the moment. They're that close together. But it seems to be that most cars have pitted now. We've got a couple cars still in the lane, but everyone has served their mandatory stop, and the normal order shall be resumed. James Hammond, we'll have to confirm that when the leaderboard updates, but it looks like he potentially may have jumped Dan Crawley for lead of the Pro-Am class. A 30-second stop go for Les Samwith. And I have to say, he is one of the unluckiest men in sim racing when it comes to these penalties. He got a penalty at the pre-season race, got 2 penalties in the pre-season race at the Hungaroring. He got a 30-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane at Spa, and I'm fairly certain he got another one at the Nürburgring as well when he had to... he got a drive-through penalty at the Nürburgring because obviously there was no required pit stops at the Super Sprint. So he got a drive-through penalty for track limits, and then he got a 30-second stop go off the back of that for speeding in the pit lane. So this man has not been able to catch a break in terms of penalties, and he'll be very frustrated at that. I'm sure he'll... if you go back and look at his stream after the race, he'll not be very impressed with himself.
A few more choice words, I'm sure. Oh, Les, mate. Those few kilometers an hour, they're not worth it. Don't worry about it. Just slow down before that line. It's not worth it. Stop go 30 is so painful to watch, and I'm gutted for Les because he's had a good race so far. I mean, you know, he's been really on the back of this top 10 the entire time. Everyone's done their pit stops now. He would have been right in the challenge for that podium position in the Pro-Am class. He's only a couple of seconds, or about 3 or 4 seconds away from Lansdale, who's currently in the last podium position, 3rd place for Pro-Am class. So that is absolutely gutting. There's a bit of a moment there for Tame. He's got a bad run out of Casio Triangle, and Simon Bishop is going to say thank you very much on the outside if I have to do it, and he will go. He will get the slipstream from Neame as well. Will he do it? Yeah, he's done it easy. That's easy peasy. I don't think Tame really wanted any part of that conflict, though I have to admit Simon Bishop did not get turn 2 quite correct there.
No, but that's what we call the teammate game. These guys are teammates, so I think there's a bit of team orders there from the BCG boys to say, hey, Mr. Tame, I would love if you would let Simon Bishop go. Although Liam Tame, the team owner of BCG, so surprised that the team owner hasn't pulled rank there to say, I actually want to keep this fourth spot. So he's let Simon Bishop go. He's let Simon Bishop go, and now Simon Bishop can set after that 3rd spot. So I did say I didn't think it was out of the question. I may have to eat my own words yet, depending on how fast he can get past Cameron Neame. I may have to eat my own words on there being a chance that Simon Bishop takes the win on this one, but he's still about 12 seconds, 13, maybe 14 seconds off the back of Matt Simmons, who's now 3 seconds off the back of Paul Condana-Leon. So Paul Condana-Leon running away with this one.
Yeah, 2.8 seconds. I mean, it's a really good gap that he's built there, and that pit stop was absolutely perfect. So maybe he got it right, and Simmons was the one that parked it slightly outside the box. Maybe he had to do something else, grab a glass of water or something, forgot to get the car back into the right gear and get it going. We're not sure, but for sure we know that the position was swapped between the two. I will also say, you know, it's the Murray Walker quote, Isaac. It's the old, we don't make predictions here in the Commentary Rocks. We make prophecies that turn out to be false. And unfortunately, we tend to eat our words on numerous occasions here in the commentary box. We've got a little bowl of small words that we tend to eat throughout the entire race. And we've certainly eaten our fair share today. But boy, oh boy, I mean, the action's been brilliant. We haven't known which direction this race is going to swing at any point, except for maybe the first opening turn one, where we kind of said, let's keep an eye out for the action. And we certainly had a lot of action in turn one. The rest of the race has been completely up in the air. Brilliant stuff. And now only 15 minutes to go. 75% of this race is complete. We've got a massive battle on here for the top 3. Neem currently sitting there in that top 3 in the number 9 Ford. He's got probably slightly better tyres than Bishop at this stage of the race, but we know how fast Simon Bishop is. We know how good he is at maintaining those tyres throughout a race like this, and I'd be surprised if we didn't see him put the pedal down in the last few laps. Doesn't need to rush it at this point. 15 minutes is a long time on track.
Absolutely, it's such a long time, and he's got the speed to do it. He's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, so there's plenty of pace in that number 2 BMW. And I can see Liam Tame, he hasn't dropped too far off the back, so he is just lurking around there at the potential of maybe getting another spot up the order. Obviously, the number 2 and the number 76 leading the way in the Teams Championship. So these guys have been a well-oiled machine this season to make headway on leading our Teams Championship quite comfortably. So they're doing a really good job. Speaking of people doing a really good job, we're looking at Porsche GT now down in 13th place, I've just noticed, is leading the way in the AM class. So he's got a fair gap over, I've just noticed. I'm so sorry to have to break this news to fans of Les Sandwith. He's got another 30-second stop-go penalty. So he's going to have to come in and serve that yet again.
Les.
I would think he'd be well under the limit that time to make his way into the pit lane.
You know what?
But I just noticed that.
It was pretty close, actually, Isaac. I have to admit, he didn't give that any breathing room. He went right to the absolute limit to get to 50. We'll have to keep a close eye on it. 2 stop-go 30s. Les, mate. It's gone from bad to worse. I'm absolutely gutted, but I think maybe he just wanted us to eat our words a little bit there, I think.
I think he might have, but I can guarantee you there's been a few even more choice words thrown around in the back of that or in that stream. I'm sure he's not too impressed, but we've got Porsche GT now. He's leading the way in the AM class. He's doing a great job. He's currently leading the AM Championship, so he's doing a really good job at the moment, just helping to shore up that AM Championship lead. He's got Matt Boyd in second place in class. Not sure about, there you go, about 28 seconds behind. So a fairly comfortable lead he has at the moment. And sitting 13th overall, which is not a small feat given the caliber we have of the grid. So he's doing a really good job at the moment, as I think I've said about 7 times now. Yeah, but I'm just very impressed with this guy. He's doing a really, he's just awesome.
For sure. Do I get to show my bias now? Do I get to show my bias?
Go for it.
Go McLaren, yeah, go McLaren Motorsport. Let's go, come on, bring it home. Number 5, let's go Porsche. I love it. I might be a little bit of a fan of McLaren if you haven't been able to tell.
Hey, I had no idea. I had no idea. This is the only McLaren team on the grid. So I've only got 2 cars. One of them has been disqualified from the race, so no longer in the race. But there's only one McLaren team. We saw throughout the mini-series that the McLaren was a fairly popular car. It was almost as some people would say, the meta car. Well, that seems to have changed as we've come into this season, and we're seeing a fair variety of cars, actually. There's a lot of BMWs, a lot of Fords, but I still think there's a fairly large variety of cars up and down the grid. We've got some Mercedes, we've got Ferraris and Porsches. It's a really good mix. Aston Martins, can't forget those. But yeah, been a really good mix of cars up and down the grid. So not as many McLarens as an average McLaren superfan like yourself would like, but still a McLaren on the grid nonetheless, and doing quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to see the McLarens out there, and they are great cars. They are maybe not the most adaptable car to every scenario. And when you look at the calendar, I mean, we've got some great races. You start off with Spa. The McLarens have to be set up to basically slide off the track on every single corner to be actually competitive at all. You've got the Nürburgring. You've got Zandvoort as well, actually typically very good for the McLarens. Then Suzuka, not the greatest track for McLarens in the world. We're going to the Texas Showdown. Then, of course, Belgium face-off. I love these names, by the way. Indy Super Sprint in round 7, and then the finale, of course, back to Italy. So, yeah, some really good races ahead. And I think that's why you're seeing such a good mix of manufacturers being chosen for these cars, Isaac. It's such a diverse range. It really just comes down, I think, a lot to what people want to drive. And, yeah, the BMWs are popular. They are also very, very quick.
Yeah, absolutely. The BMWs are absolutely rapid in a straight line, as Simon Bishop has demonstrated time and time again throughout this series and is demonstrating today. I'm receiving word that that initial 30-second stop-go penalty that LJ received was because he shifted up to third gear on entry to the pit lane. So obviously anything outside of first gear will disengage the pit limiter, and yeah, being in third gear, that'll do it. So that's very unfortunate for him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not
We're
fun.
all guilty of that.
I think we are. I mean, you kind of have to learn these lessons. This is just the 101, your first year of racing in ACC. It's right there on page 2. It's one of the things you're going to inevitably do. You're going to get track limits. You're going to get track limits at 3 out of 4, and then hand it over to a teammate, and then they'll get an immediate track limits as well. You got to do all of these things. It's part of the learning process. Simon Bishop having a little bit of a cheeky look, trying to psych out Neem ahead, and this is where the battle becomes a bit of a psychological one more than one on track. Certainly through this point, you can see really good on the brakes there is the Ford. Able to get it pulled up quite nicely is Neem, and gets it nicely around the last part of Casio Triangle. Decent run for him, but I think Simon Bishop might have had a better run through Casio Triangle. This is the opportunity for Simon Bishop. How easy is it going to be?
Oh, I don't think he's going to make it easy in that number 9 Mustang. They make the Mustangs quite wide these days, and Cameron Neem won't go down without a fight. He's been racing with Simon Bishop both as a teammate and as a rival for a very long time now, so he knows how he thinks. He'll know where to position the car, and you saw him do that as they came into the Casio Triangle there. He just knew where to position the car to make Simon back out of it, but this is going to be super important now, this run through towards the Degnas 1 and 2 to get a run up towards the hairpin, because that's going to be a major overtaking spot if Simon Bishop can get close enough. He's fairly close at the moment, but he's going to have to stick with him through here. Here we go. Through Degna 1, down into Degna 2. Hard braking zone. They both run the car out wide. That's a great line from all of those drivers. You can see Liam Tame in the background just trying to have a little bit of a front row seat to this battle. I think he's just very excited at the prospect. You see very wide line there, taking the wide line for Cameron Neem to give himself the best opportunity to carry as much speed through that corner as possible, whereas Simon Bishop goes a little bit shallower but can get onto the power slightly earlier. So seems to sort of even out. These cars obviously carrying a little bit of weight in them to try and bring out the balance of power, but both very fast cars in a straight line. The Mustang, I can confirm, has 19 kilos of ballast on board to try and just slow it down a little bit. Not sure about the BMW, but you can see he's just created a little bit of a gap here. Has Cameron Neem as we come towards 130R. He's been the slipstream with Simon Bishop, but I don't think it's powerful enough, and he's not closer this time. He's not as close as he was last time either.
Yeah, big torquey car, that
Casio Triangle.
Yeah, big torquey car, that Ford. I mean, it's got a lot of power under the hood. It's great out of the corners, really slow on the apexes usually. That's where the BMW has its main advantage. But, I mean, we saw the lap before. Simon Bishop got a great exit. But, I mean, even in the slipstream, that BMW is just not kitted up or not set up in a way that it can really power past the Ford. I mean, look how hard that Ford goes on the straight. It is absolutely powering through there. No slipstream whatsoever. And Simon Bishop, even though he's right on the rear wing, can't make any progress. Then suddenly into the braking zone, the BMW's right back into it. So this is the battle of the ages. It's fast on the straights versus fast in the corners. That seems to be the real battle that we're seeing here. And Simon Bishop, I don't think he's going easy right now. I think he's giving it absolutely everything, but his only chance are going to be in these very anti-overtake inner sectors of this circuit, Isaac.
Yeah, and we can see the advantage that BMW has through the first sector, especially with just the little bit extra aero and the ability to rotate the car through the S's, but it's just not enough. He is closer this time, though. I have noticed he's a little bit closer as they come down towards the hairpin here, but I don't think he's close enough. No, he's not. He's not quite close enough to shape up a move. Maybe if you can get a good exit here, you can see he's now taking that wider line that Cameron Neem has been taking in an effort to try and stay with him, but I think Cameron Neem's just got a little bit of a better exit and has started to pull away now. And yeah, he has. He's just pulled a gap. And actually, Simon Bishop's starting to fall back into the clutches of Liam Tame a little bit. I don't think that's going to be a threat. I don't think Liam Tame's going to try and make a move on his fast driver. Oh, very loose as we come through Spoon. Bit of sideways drift car action there. Brilliant car control from Simon Bishop to correct that. And that's just a testament to how hard he's pushing George. Just the car stepping out sideways. He's trying to get on the power as early as possible to maximize that the exit speed. And it's just unsettled the car a little bit. And he'll just have to try and get himself back into a rhythm now. Cool those rear tires down. And with 6 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time. So we'll have to see what happens as he tries to get himself back into that rhythm.
Really tricky for Simon Bishop here. He's been out longer than most of these guys have been on these tires, so they're starting to scream. And bear in mind, he's been stuck behind 2 cars in dirty air this entire time as well. So those tires are not going to be in a good situation. And I think this is what's been percolating in my mind, so to speak, is how well can Simon Bishop manage being in dirty air and keeping those tires alive so he can make a push when he needs to. I mean, Cameron Neame, we can't take anything away from this guy. He's driving absolutely brilliantly. He's parking the car on the apex. He's not getting psyched out at all by having, you know, a GT World Series capable driver right behind him. The guy that set a 159.6 in qualifying. He's not phased at all as Cameron Neame, and he's just holding fast at the moment. Really doing well. Flash of the lights there to get Boyd, I think it is, out of the way on track. Does so nicely. Well done from our back marker. And this battle will continue. Neame just needs to hold his nerve. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's driving brilliantly. He's driving really, really smart defensive driving to just keep Simon Bishop at bay. And you can see Simon Bishop is pushing really hard. He's quite close this time. Cameron Neame's had to take a bit of a compromise line through the hairpin to try and cover off a potential move from Simon Bishop, which means that Simon Bishop is now closer as we go through the Dunlop curve on the run towards Spoon. So this is what Simon Bishop wanted. He wanted to be closer. He wanted to have that slipstream strength down the back straight towards 130 hours. They come through Spoon this time. The car looks very planted this time around. He's not making that mistake twice. And you can see he's just got a bit of a better exit. Both cars quite taily. But I think he's closer this time. He's in the slipstream, but it's just not enough. That Mustang has some legs. Both cars have legs, but that Mustang, it's very quick in a straight line. And it's probably a lower aero setup for James Hammond to make, for Cameron Neame to make that work. As we come through the Casio Triangle, very aggressive use of the curbs from both drivers. You can really beat the curbs around in these cars. Sort of built like a supercar is what I liken it to, with the way you can attack the curbs in both of these cars. And you can see how close he is now down the front straight. Will he be able to size up a move into turn one? I don't think he's quite close enough. No, he's very bold to make a move from back there.
I think this is gonna require a mistake from Cameron Neame, and as I said before, he's just been completely unfazed. He's driving his race. He's putting the car where it needs to be. We only saw that one little mistake in Spoon where he got a bit offline, and that's been it. Other than that, he's absolutely solid right now. And if he keeps doing that, I mean, the BMW just does not have the legs. It can't get past this prancing horse that's in front of him, the Ford prancing horse, so to speak, not the Ferrari one. Ferrari one's not had legs at all this race, unfortunately, but the Ford certainly has. Another thing to be aware of as we continue to watch this battle, we do have a battle on for, I believe, I think that is the battle for, I think we've had a little incident there. We have had an incident.
Cars are off. There's an incident.
It's Crawley and Hammond.
Class leaders.
That's
Crawley
class
and Hammond. That was the
Pro-Am.
Pro-Am class leaders.
Wow.
And Crawley flashing the lights, so maybe not happy with something. Both damage on both cars. I did see they were quite close together, but wasn't too close. You can see, there you go. So that is a redress of position for James Hammond potentially, or just really heavy damage.
Wow.
And this has been great for Lansdell, who has now taken the class lead for Pro-Am. So he is now, as a reserve driver, leading the way with 2 minutes to go. And that is,
Hammond can't turn the car.
Hammond's gone. Can't turn the car. He's gone straight off.
Yeah. Wow. So the waves truly have parted there for Lansdell, and he's now found himself in P1, from P3 to P1, without having to do a thing from what we can tell. But Crawley and Hammond coming together, that's a massive, massive incident right at the end for them. Crawley will be gutted. Hammond will be gutted. Clearly thought that he had a chance to get past Crawley, but that damage on the car, you can see both of them just crawling around the circuit now. Hammond seems to have come out of that a lot worse. There were some other cars around there, Isaac. I don't know if there's something else that's gone on. Maybe a back marker, a blue flag has gotten in the way as well. I didn't see anyone else spinning out on track, so I reckon that's probably just between them, but a big shake-up for the Pro-Am lead. The top three getting switched up massively. We've got of information from someone in chat. Boyd rejoined the track, took out both the Pro-Am leaders, so it might have been something completely unrelated there, Isaac.
Absolutely, and I think that Hammond will be quite fuming over that one because they both got taken out. Here we go. This is very close. Here we go. Round the outside to Simon Bishop. The car is on skates as he's on the dirty side of the track trying to make a move. He got very bold through the top of the S's there as the track temperature is starting to come down, so the cars will be starting to slide a little bit more. Very aggressive move from Simon Bishop there to try and make a move on Cameron Neame. You can see he's starting to get desperate now. He knows that they're about to start the final lap of the race very soon, so Paul Leon a fair lead deep over Matt Simmons. Here we go. Oh, there's side-to-side contact between the two cars. They made side-to-side contact. He's still there. Is Cameron Neame. A little bit of room starting to be given now, and I think he's going to hold on. Maybe they're still side-by-side as we come down towards Spoon. This is still going on. It's not over yet, but Cameron Neame outbreaks. Cameron Neame outbreaks the number 2 BMW. Oh, does he? No! Whoa! That was so close to contact. I thought that was going to be front to rear contact. Liam Tame has a front seat to all of this. This is off the charts.
Yeah, I'll trade in my position in the VIP suite for Liam Tame's position any day of the week. He is absolutely seeing the show of his life right now. That was unbelievable from Cameron Neame to hold it around the outside of the entry into Spoon. Runs off slightly off track on the outside line and then manages to still pull it back in and get the car slowed down for the last part of Spoon. And we're back to status quo, Isaac. Once again, these two are having the battle of the ages. Bear in mind, folks, this is the battle for the last podium position. Candeleon and Simmons are the ones who are going to get P1 and P2, assuming nothing else happens to them in this race. This is an epic battle for the last spot on the podium. It is the last part of this race, the last lap. The timer is at 0. This is it. If Simon Bishop is going to get third place, he's got to do it now. That was so close on the gravel as well. And can Neame hold on? He's done so well so far, Isaac.
He has. He was just on the dirt as we came through the top section of the S's there. He's holding on at the moment. He is pushing that Mustang to the absolute limit. There is nothing left in the tank for either of these two drivers. They are on the absolute limit of what is possible with these cars. This is really exciting. We've got about a third or 2/3 of a lap to go as they come through Degna 1 down towards Degna 2. This is where he made the move last time, did Simon Bishop. He got a great exit out of here. It's not the best exit this time, slightly on the grass. You can see the puff of smoke signals he's sending towards Liam Tame behind. Can he get a good exit here? This is where he made his move last time. The exit is good, but he's not as close. There's no overlap this time. So he's holding on at the moment, is Cameron Neame. If he can get a good run down towards Spoon, he'll be able to make the exit stick, and hopefully that Mustang has enough legs to just hold on through down towards 130R. At the moment, it looks like Paul Leon's going to take this race out. He is coming down towards the final quarter, and here we go. Paul Leon, he's going to go 2 in a row. He won the last race at Zandvoort. He's going to win the 1 hour of Suzuka. He crosses the line to win. It'll be Matt Simmons in second place. And then third place yet to be decided. It's still going on as we come down towards the Casio Triangle for the final time. It looks like if it all goes well from here, Cameron Neame's going to hold on. He's right there on his back bumper. Is Simon Bishop sending smoke to the slight overlap? They touch. Simon Bishop is around. There was slight contact between the two cars. Cameron Neame's going to hold on for third. Liam Tame's going to come fourth. Simon Bishop's facing the wrong way, so Stankowski's going to get fifth. Simon Bishop is going to try and bring this one home for sixth with a question mark over what just happened at the final corner there. And Isaac, oh my God, that is absolutely incredible.
What have we just witnessed there at the end of this race? I mean, Simon Bishop had the inside line, he wanted it, but it looked like he got that rear right onto that bump, the same one that caused him to go into the pit lane. Has caused him an accident at the end and potentially cost him a third place, certainly cost him a fourth place there. That is so unlucky there for Simon Bishop at the end, but Cameron Neem, take a bow. Third place, absolutely brilliant defense against one of the top sim races in Australia and New Zealand. Big congratulations to Simmons as well, and some commiserations for missing out on the race win. But our race winner, Candeleon, take a bow, top 3. What an absolutely brilliant race we've witnessed today.
Absolutely. I am speechless. Welcome to Adrenaline GT. Time after time, these guys come out and just provide some of the best racing that we have seen. It's never short of action here at AGT, both across the GT7 and the Assetto Corsa leagues. There's a never short of action. Dan Crawley brings it home in 10th place to finish second in class. Tyler Lanzell takes the Pro-Am class win. Porsche GT is going to win the AM class. He's already crossed the line. He's back in the lane. He has won AM class with Matt Boyd in second. And ESR Renegade on the reserve list filling tonight for TTR Westside, or TTR Eastside I should say, has come home third in class for the AM drivers. So a brilliant result for him as well. James Hammond, after that unfortunate contact, will have to leave it to the stewards to dive in with what happened in what happened with that incident with Boyd coming back on the circuit and making contact leaders. He'll be very frustrated that in a lot.
Yes, we are experiencing a little bit of a technical difficulty with Isaac's microphone right now. I'm sure we'll get him back in a few moments' time. Just noting, us broadcasters, we didn't do our mandatory pit stop, so we're going to have to get that sorted. Might have a disqualification and qualifying for ourselves next time out as we barrel towards round 5. Isaac, hopefully your microphone's started to come back to life. Fingers are indeed crossed, but what an honestly brilliant race that has been. Well done to everyone in this race today. That is stunning work, and we'll take a look at the final timetables here. Here are your final results up on screen right now. Congratulations to our top 3 in the Pro-Am, and Am class. Top drive by all of you. My driver of the day, I'm just going to start it off. Let us know your driver of the day in chat. I don't know if you guys do that here at the moment, but we're going to start doing it for sure. Who's your driver of the day? Mine's Cameron Neem. What an absolutely stellar defense against a top driver in Australia and New Zealand. Really well done in that Ford today. Did an absolutely brilliant job.
Absolutely. I think he did an absolutely stellar job. Hopefully you can hear me all right now. Not sure what happened there, but we push on. But yeah, great job from Cameron Neem. I drive the day. I'm going to have to give it to Andrew Griffin. He has finished third in class for Pro-Am and is 11th place. That is his best result of the season so far. He's done an absolutely major job to bring that home. And yeah, with all the drama that's been going on up and down the lane and with up and down the field throughout that race, he has done an absolutely brilliant job to bring that car home in third place. Les Sandwith, despite the 2 stop and goes, will come home 4th in class. And then if we have a look at our AM class, there's that's got to be my driver of the day. Definitely going to Andrew Griffin. Obviously Cameron Neem for you. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is if you haven't already. But yeah, wow. I'm still reeling from that finish to that race. That was absolutely incredible racing.
Yeah, absolutely love it. This is the kind of action you get at Adrenaline GT. Discord links will be in the chat, in the description. Give us a like and a follow as we take this broadcast forward and watch this amazing action out on track that the drivers have provided to us today. And this is going to go on for another 4 rounds, Isaac, if I understand it correctly. We've got round 5, 6, 7, 8 all ahead of us. Next round on the 7th of March. This is an exciting calendar, so stay tuned because we have got a lot of excellent racing to continue with at AGT.
We certainly do. We got, as you said, the 7th of March. We go to the Texas Showdown at Circuit of the Americas. So that's a super sprint format. So 2 30-minute races and a 10-minute qualifying session for each race. So there's no required stops in those either. So it's just flat out for 30 minutes. And it's going to be absolutely incredible to watch. So if that's what we had tonight over 1 race, imagine what we're going to have over 2 races. So I'm really excited for that. That's next Friday. So mark your calendars because we're going to be back in just under a week's time or in exactly almost a week's time to bring you all that action. But yeah, that is it's absolutely. Wow, I'm still trying to get over, still trying to process what I just watched. Looking further down the calendar, We will have a small break. We'll have what we're calling the Australian Grand Prix break. So we'll have a break while the Australian Grand Prix takes place in Australia. That's obviously, as it takes place in the second or third weekend of March, somewhere around there. And then we go to Belgium on the 21st of March for a 1-hour race at Zolder. It's a beautiful part of the world, a lovely circuit, and it's going to provide some excellent racing. It always does. And then we have the week after that, we have the Indy Super Sprint. So we go back to the United States to the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit layout for another Super Sprint format. And then we'll have a couple of weeks break, and then we move into the finale on the 11th of April. So that's the Friday before Easter. We go racing at Imola, one of the best tracks in the world, in my opinion. I absolutely love racing there, and it's a 90-minute race to finish out the season. So we had an hour tonight, so add half an hour to that for our drivers, and that's a lot of time behind the wheel of a car. It's a very long stint, but I don't know about you, George. I'm very much looking forward to what's to come in the following rounds.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting end to the season. We're halfway through right now, and you saw what could happen out on track. Absolutely anything. So there's going to be some great more racing coming up on the channel, so it's going to be good. Make sure you stay tuned. Get yourself subscribed so you get the notifications, get into the Discord, get involved at AGT, because this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to good racing at Adrenaline GT. And a big thanks to yourself, Isaac, today for being in the commentary box. It's been a good race to watch. I mean, boy, oh boy, we have been spoiled.
We certainly have. It's been an absolute pleasure to be sat alongside you today, George, and I look forward to bringing back another amazing broadcast next week with TrackSpotTV and RavenComms. It's going to be very exciting. I'm very excited about what we're bringing here, and I hope you all enjoyed watching at home. That's going to do it for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you again, George, for jumping in the commentary box alongside me. It's been an absolute pleasure. We look forward to hosting you guys this time again next week. Make sure you subscribe to the Adrenaline GT YouTube channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to TrackSpotTV as well. That's would do us be a massive favor subscribing to both those channels. Show us some support. We would love it if you could drop a like on both streams if you can. And thank you to our broadcast partners in TrackSpotTV and RavenComms. We'll see you in just over a week's time for the Texas Showdown. Thank you very much. I've been Isaac Fogarty. Have a lovely evening.
Been trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me, and was you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted.